A recent column in Next Avenue highlights some of the unforeseen challenges that older Americans may encounter when they age in place. And the desire to remain in the home throughout retirement is nearly unanimous, with 88% of adults 50 and older saying that they do wish to remain in the home and age in place. But what is aging in place? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, defines it as having the ability to live in one's own home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age, income, or ability level. However, the desire to age in place often intersects with considerable challenges. On the surface, this makes total sense. The idea of starting over in a new home and in a different neighborhood may seem daunting to older adults, especially if they have lived in their current residence for a long time, writes the columnist. So here are some of the challenges of aging in place according to Next Avenue. First is the size and the layout of the home. Now, if they're currently living in the same house where they raised their children, maybe it's not a good fit. Perhaps it's a two-story with all the bedrooms and bathrooms being upstairs. Now, that was good when you were younger and raising kids, but now when you're older or you're having mobility issues, that's very difficult. Whatever the layout, in all probability, the home will likely not suit their needs. The National Census Bureau reports that only 10% of all homes in the U.S. are age-friendly, meaning suitable for older residents. Around 36 million older people fall down in the U.S. each year, which incredibly means that someone somewhere is falling down every second of the day. And according to the CDC, 1 out of every 5 of those accidents or falls results in a serious injury. The next challenge is one I hadn't thought of before, but it's one I have witnessed firsthand, and that is demographic changes in the neighborhood. Family and friends move away. The new families that come in with kids, you have little in common with them, and then there's gentrification that may occur. Now, these shifting circumstances can lead one to be socially isolated, especially for the 1 in 4 older adults who live alone. In fact, loneliness has long been linked to serious health conditions. And then there's maintaining the house. Even if you're handy, well, you're going to be aging and you're going to have to be making these repairs and mowing the yard. You're going to be slowing down a bit. Your home may be just getting older, just like you. And that means more repairs and also replacement of key components such as heating and air conditioning, roofs, appliances, and more. In addition, if the home is larger than needed, then just the daily upkeep, such as cleaning and dusting, can become a very big burden for one aging in place. And the last hurdle to aging in place is the emotional toll of aging alone, coupled with mental stagnation. The Alzheimer's Association says that less than 1% of Alzheimer's cases are directly caused by heredity. Staying physically and mentally fit through healthy lifestyle choices, they say, is a proven strategy to reduce the risk of that debilitating disease. In recent news, South Florida condo owners are now facing unexpected and massive financial burdens due to new state legislation. These 6-figure assessments have left many homeowners in distress, being unable to even sell their properties or to cover the staggering costs that keep increasing. A new segment from WPLG Local 10 highlights the impact of these new laws on condo owners. So let's look at what they had to say. First is Howard Connitz, a 79-year-old resident, and he shared his plight with the news, saying, "Sleepless nights, every night." And he reflected on the anxiety he's felt and his friends as well. Now, him and his wife have lived in their 2-bedroom condo for 10 years, but they're now facing an assessment of approximately $224,000, an amount they never anticipated. And that financial strain is causing them great distress, and it highlights the severity of the issue thanks to a run-up in real estate values. Now, the couple's monthly maintenance fees have also doubled from $1,500 to $3,000 a year. Conitz expressed his disbelief, saying, "We can't afford it. We're going to go broke." And that financial pressure is pushing many, especially condo owners, to the brink, forcing them to consider selling their homes or condos at a loss. Now, the increasing financial pressure on seniors underscores the unintended consequences of recent state legislation. And that really shows us how financial instability can be created from, well-intentioned laws. Now, these assessments and also the increase in maintenance fees are a direct result of a new Florida law enacted after the 2021 collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside that killed 98 people. Now, these mandates increased building inspections and also reserve funding for condominiums. The legislation aimed to prevent future tragedies, but it does come with a hefty price tag for owners of older buildings. The new law, known as SB 4D, requires that all condominium developments over 30 years old to undergo inspections to address critical issues and build up reserve funds for future repairs by the end of the year. And that has led to large-scale increases in assessments and fees for maintenance. Now, many believe that the law's intention to enhance safety, of course, was good, but its financial impact on residences is really profound. Now, Conan's attempt to mitigate the financial burden have been futile. In fact, he was turned down recently for a reverse mortgage because of the strict condo rules and has had to drop the price of his condo listing many times. Maybe I can give it away for pennies on the dollar, he laments, reflecting on the desperation that many feel. The inability to sell the property adds to the financial insecurity that these older residents face. The association president, Mike Siegel, commented briefly saying that the assessments are not necessarily a means of extorting money from residents. However, this provides little comfort to those facing financial ruin today. The assessments are seen as an unavoidable consequence of a necessary safety upgrade, yet the financial impact on the individual owners is devastating. Did you know that the state of Montana has their very own reverse mortgage? The Montana Board of Housing is now seeking to remind the state's residents, their older residents, about a government-administrated program, which is, by the way, specifically designed to help older adults who are homeowners access their home equity. And recently, officials with the state's housing authority have been pushing out new information, new material related to the state's reverse annuity mortgage, or RAM program, which, by the way, was passed by the Montana legislature in 1989. It offers a state-subsidized reverse mortgage that is limited to residents 68 and older. As Montanans face more economic challenges due to inflation, it can weigh heavily on our most vulnerable populations, including senior citizens, said Cheryl Cohen, Division Administrator for the Housing Division at the Montana Department of Commerce and Executive Director of the Montana Board of Housing. Housing Wire's Reverse Mortgage Daily recently submitted questions to Montana's Department of Commerce about the RAM program and its particulars, and they did receive responses from one of their spokespersons. The Montana Board of Housing's RAM program provides interest rates that are competitive or lower with requirements that are simple and easy to understand, they said. Board staff and participating counselors work closely with the borrowers, helping to set up the reverse mortgage with closing costs often several hundred to thousands of dollars less than similar programs, most likely referring to the HECM. The closing costs are limited to the actual charges from the appraisals and title companies, with no administrative cost added by the board. And also, the administration of the reverse mortgage itself is being handled by the state housing staff, who can easily be personally contacted for any questions or assistance in the process. Now, the program is unique from the HECM, or Home Equity Conversion Mortgage, in that Montana's program doesn't have 10-year payments for the remainder of the homeowner's life or while they're in their home, but they do have a term payout for 10 years. They also do have limits on upfront distributions, but the initial loan amount must be at least $15,000 up to a maximum of $150,000. And that loan amount is based on 80% of the FHA determined value of the home. Also, additionally, lump sum advances are available at closing, but limited to $10,000 for payment of prior mortgages or liens or pledges for accessibility improvements or even home repairs. Now, just like a HECM, counseling sessions are required. So it's interesting. There are other states that have a reverse mortgage program of their own, and Montana is just one, Connecticut's another. So we'll be looking into these programs just to see how they're being promoted and how well they're being received. But we have Montana on our radar now, and we'll be looking into their program more in the future. And that concludes another episode of HECMWorld Weekly. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have an audio edition of this podcast, which you can find on Apple Music, Spotify, on Podbean, and of course here at HECMWorld.com. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to return next week for more reverse mortgage news for the mortgage professional you'll only find here at HECMWorld.